because you can find so many different sources of Ikigai in your daily life, and you can include these rituals in your routine to make a more resilient lifestyle. So even when you have a really bad job, for instance, because not all of us can afford quitting the job and starting a new career out of nowhere, right? You have commitments, you have to pay bills. And so even if you have a terrible job that you hate every morning, but you have your own rituals that you do and the things that light you up, you keep going because you have this wish to keep going, right? And that's the reason why I decided to join this retreat.
Welcome to the Travel Not to Escape podcast. I'm your host, Jolene on the Go, solo female traveler and creative entrepreneur. Think of me as your skydive instructor, empowering you to take the leap into solo travel to push past your fears and transform your life. Join me every Tuesday as we explore the world of solo travel with purpose and discover how you can use it for your personal transformation, learn how to make meaningful connections around the world, and reignite your spirit of play. We aren't just talking about traveling to find ourselves anymore. We're all about doing the work to understand who we authentically are, breaking through our limiting beliefs, and taking the leaps to manifest lives we are excited about. Through interviews, solo episodes, and meditations, each episode is packed with practical tips, strategies, and inspiring stories from guests who have transformed their lives through solo travel. Whether you're a seasoned traveler or just starting out on your journey, the Travel Not to Escape podcast is here to inspire and empower you to solo travel with purpose. Strap on your helmet. We're about to jump headfirst into the journey of a lifetime. Are you ready? Let's go. Welcome, fellow navigators. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to invite you all to get your passport to connection. What is that? Well, we talk a lot about connection here on the podcast, how to connect with yourself as well as make meaningful connections with others. But I know it's not as simple as going to a meetup event and making instant best friends, at least not always. And there's work that you need to understand yourself and what you're looking for in friendships, where to meet them if you're traveling or moving to a new city, how to handle rejection and filter for like-minded friendships, and how to maintain these friendships over time and distance. So if you've ever felt the pangs of loneliness, and well, who hasn't, and wish you could just figure out all these secrets to these questions, then Passport to Connection may just be for you. So this is a one-day live virtual workshop and monthly mastermind where I'm going to empower you with all of the knowledge and actionable steps and direction so you can make yourself more magnetic, reignite your spirit of play, and in turn, identify and attract all those beautiful soul-aligned friendships that you're looking for. And this isn't just a workshop. This is a community in itself. So head over to travelnottoscape.com/friends to get more information and sign up. And hurry, this is going to be an intimate workshop, so make sure to save your spot today. And with that, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to today's Travel Not to Escape episode. We have our guest today, Adriana, corporate and business consultant for over 20 years and now founder of Nomad Lighthouse. She's been an expat since 2013 and turned digital nomad in 2019 and currently getting her certification as an Ikigai coach. I'm so excited to get to talk to her today. We're going to get to know Adriana's story of transformation through travel, and we're also going to find out about the purpose and connection retreat that she's hosting in Malta in May. Thank you so much for coming on to today's show.
Thank you for having me.
Yay! And just as a background for the listeners as well, Adriana and I met on such a serendipitous way as well, because we both ended up in Kuala Lumpur on the same weekend, and I wasn't supposed to be there. I was supposed to be in Vietnam, except random visa issues happened, and then we connected through a WhatsApp group in Bali.
Yes. That was very random because I also was not supposed to be there. I booked a last minute trip from Jakarta after a business trip because I decided to go to Malaysia. I had just decided to return to Europe by then. And then it was something like, okay, I have to go to Malaysia before I return to Europe. So all of a sudden I decided to go. I went to Penang and then I went to Kuala Lumpur just for the weekend. And then I saw your message in the group. I just joined that group. I was not part of the group for the 10 months I was living in Bali. It was really funny. And then I saw your message like, is there anybody in Kuala Lumpur this weekend? Yes.
Oh, so random how the universe works. And now we're filming this podcast, right? And it's wild, and that's, I think, just epitomizes what could happen on this digital nomad journey, as well as when you're like open to it and you kind of follow the leads in the universe, is you never know who you'll end up connecting with and how as well.
That's
So
true.
that I really love the way that we connected, because it was just the most random set of situations for both of us, but hey, it works. Can you tell us now where you are located?
Well, at the moment, I'm in Malta. It's in Europe. I mean, for those who don't know Malta, because it's a tiny island, actually, it's a 500,000 inhabitants island in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea at the south of Italy. So it's composed by 3 islands, and I live actually in the small island called Gozo, 30,000 people only. But
Oh,
today,
wow.
I'm recording this from the main island, Malta.
From the Malta Island.
Mhm.
I'm excited. I still have Malta on my list, so I definitely will hit you up next time I'm in town. But let's start today first, before we dig into your background, into a question about your play history. So I would
Okay.
love to know what your favorite childhood activity was.
I guess it was dancing.
Oh.
Dancing. Yes, I used to dance a lot, all the types of dances. And I used to create choreographies in school for my colleagues. So sometimes
Oh,
when we had these
wow.
talent shows, we would dance because I was always with the introverts and then people
Mhm.
that don't express themselves that much, but they like dancing. And then I used to choreograph something that was fun for everybody, and we would just present something like that.
Oh, I love that. Were you dancing from a really early age as well? Or was
Yes,
this
but
closer to?
like totally random dances. I've never been to any kind of dance school or anything. I mean, when I was a teenager and a young adult, yes, I did belly dance for 7 years. But
Oh, wow.
before that, I just danced like whatever, like pop music or Brazilian dances, samba, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. I was like, it's just part of the culture too, I think, at some
Yes,
point.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Just natural. But I
Yeah,
used to
exactly. You
draw a
got
lot
that.
as well. I used to draw a lot. I was a very
Oh.
artistic kid.
Oh, okay. So both of those play on a creative play style as
Yeah.
well as a kinesthetic. So moving your body as something
Hmm.
that lights you up. So that's just an interesting thing, because I think the creativity and the movement in the body, I think those are two then that are types of activities that you can bring into your adult life that
Yeah.
would spark that like lightness and play back into your daily living. So that's exciting. And I know that it's like part of your life currently, right?
Yes, yes, but definitely is in my plans also to pursue some dance classes also because I do lots of activities. I since I came back to Malta, I continued with yoga that I started in Bali, but then
Mhm.
I went for aero yoga as well, which is completely
Oh,
different for me, and like
yeah.
some stretching classes. But I also want to pursue some dance classes.
Yeah, I think that dance would be fun and
Hmm.
reactivate that lightness into your life.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah, that's exciting. So you're in Malta currently, but can you give me a little bit of a background as to where you were born, where you grew up, and then how your solo travel journey started?
Okay. So I was born in Brazil many years ago. I'm 41 years old nowadays. So my whole life was in Brazil, like my whole childhood and teenager years were in Brazil. But I don't know, I always had this desire to live abroad, to get to know different cultures. I was always very curious. I was watching National Geographic and imagining how it was possible to be in those places. How would it feel to be in those places? And then when I got to university, my university had some program where we could receive foreign students and mentor them, kind of guide them, be a local partner, local pole, and take them around and help them with the language and etc. And I started doing this in my university, and then I got in touch with foreign students, and then this wish grew even more. So I joined ISAC. I don't know if you heard about ISAC.
No, what is that?
It's quite popular actually. I don't know nowadays, but it used to be an organization for students, by students for students. So it's basically just led by volunteer students all around the world. And all the students have positions like VIP of finance, VP of finance, VP of administration, a director, marketing, etc. Each one has a different role as if it was in a real company. And
Oh,
then you
wow.
can take as much responsibility as you want within this organization, and everything is volunteer work. And then the goal of the organization is to enable people to have international experiences pretty much. So we would talk to companies locally, find positions for students that come from abroad within these companies to do internships. And then in exchange, we could, for each position we find in our country, we can send one Brazilian student also abroad.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so Isaac is actually very well known like around the world. I don't know if they still exist, to be honest, because I kind of lost track of how they are nowadays. But I still meet alumni everywhere I go. It's incredible. So this enabled me not only to get in touch with students and also like from other countries, but also to go abroad myself. So I did an internship in Germany in 2005 through Isaac, and I worked as an intern for a company there for 5 months, 6 months, and that was my first international experience. And because it's all led by students, they receive you, they guide you, they help you to get into the culture of the country. I got access to German lessons as well. So it was literally like a life changer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
can you spell Isaac? Is that
yes,
just so
Aiesec.
easy? Just so that we can link it.
Yeah,
Oh, it looks like it still exists. So for anyone
I hope
that's
so.
interested, yeah, it looks like it's Canada based actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll link that in the show notes because these types of resources I think would be really important for people
Yes,
from all over the world that are looking for these type opportunities. So thank you for sharing that.
definitely, definitely.
And so yeah, tell me a little bit more about that first trip and how that was, transformative for you.
Yeah, so what happened is when I got this internship, my family was always like very poor in Brazil. My father was a driver, my mom was working for the government, like as an assistant in a school. So we never had funds like to travel or to go. I actually went to public university because I had to go to public university. It was the only way to go to university. So I was a good student and I always got scholarships and etc. And when I applied for this internship, I got the position. But then I was like, okay, how can I travel now? How can I pay for the flights, right?
Yeah.
So I sold absolutely everything I had. I sold my computer. I sold even a guitar that I had. I was trying to learn how to play guitar. And then I flew, to Germany for this internship. But before the internship, that was the first time ever I traveled solo. And it was abroad, right? So going to a totally different country. But on the way, I always had the dream to go to Italy. And on the way, the ticket enabled me to stay 2 or 3 days in Italy.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, I flew in New Year's Eve, and then I spent the New Year's Eve in Milan, couch surfing. By the time I
Oh,
was an avid user of couch surfing, and it was my first ever experience with couch surfing as well, which was amazing. And after that, I followed my trip to Germany, and I stayed in Germany for 6 months, and I made so many friends. Some of them I still have contact with until nowadays. It was almost 20 years ago.
what age were you when you went on this first trip, on this
I
internship?
think I was 23 years old.
Oh,
Yeah, because
okay,
it was
23.
19 years ago. Yeah, 22,
Okay.
23. Yeah, yeah.
And, as you were it sounds like the trip itself had some structure, some support there.
Uh,
So
yes.
in Germany.
Yes, the internship itself, yes, but like the trip I did to Italy before, it was all like couch surfing. And then
Yeah.
when I was there, I was allocated to a university, and then I had a place to stay. I was receiving a salary for my internship, so I was paying the rent and etc. They supported me finding the place, but then and like with the initial setup, right? And then
Mhm.
by that time, since it was the first time I was in Europe, I also wanted to travel around. So every opportunity I had, I traveled around to different countries, and yeah, these were mostly the solo trips I did.
Okay.
Hmm.
And during that time, so that was when you were 23, and that was back when it was like harder because I remember I was traveling in '09, and it was really hard with no real GPS or cell phone, and
Yes,
like it was a lot harder to solo travel back then. But it sounds like
definitely.
couch surfing was a lot more common. So
Yes.
I guess from those experiences, like, were there any specific challenges that pop up in your mind that you went through that taught you some really large lessons, or was it a pretty easy first?
Overall, for me, it was pretty easy because I was very very keen on couch surfing. So I was going
Mm.
to all the meetups, even back in Brazil. And then when I
Ah, okay.
traveled abroad, that was already my first way to get acquainted with the country and with the people in the country. So I used to go to the meetups, couch surfing meetups on the place, right?
Oh,
So then
nice.
you meet the locals who hold the couch surfing meetings there, and they are locals, right? So they give you hints, they help you out, and etc. So it was pretty smooth, to be honest.
Nice. Yeah, and I used to actually tap into the couch surfing community, but I never stayed with people. But it
Really?
was, yeah, because I was always like, I had done more hosteling back in the day, but I would always connect with people on Couchsurfer
Hmm.
because they would always be open to grab a coffee or,
That's true.
do something or at least give you tips. Again, there's a wide variety of people on Couchsurfer, I will say. So like I tended to go more towards like the woman who had the tips, and you do have to have that level of safety and
Yes.
any interaction with someone online. But I think if
Yeah.
you do know what you're looking for and you take the necessary precautions, it's a really good resource,
No,
especially
that's for
yeah
sure.
back then.
Yeah, the thing is, I was one of the pioneers in couchsurfing because they were founded, I think, around 2004, 2005. This is
Oh
pretty much
wow.
when I joined. I have the badge of
Yeah.
pioneer. But
Yeah.
by that
That's
time,
awesome.
it was quite different. So everybody really wanted to get to know people from the other cultures and interact with you. So I
Hmm.
traveled a lot with couchsurfing, and I also received a lot of people in my home in different countries when I was living in different countries.
Oh
And
wow.
my experiences by the time, they were amazing. Like when I stayed in Milan, I stayed in the guy in a guy's house, and he was super respectful. His mom cooked pasta for me, and yeah, we
Oh.
spent New Year's Eve with his friends. It was just an amazing experience. I didn't have any issues, any problems, or by the time.
But
With the
yeah.
time, I have to admit that there were some other weirder situations.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some people sending weird messages before my trip, and then I got to cancel the trip. But I think my rule of thumb is okay, go with your gut instinct. If you
Yes.
feel there is something dodgy, something weird, just don't go for it. But I received men in my house. I traveled to men's houses as well. But nowadays, I agree with you. Nowadays, the public, also the audience, changed a lot. So many
Hmm.
people are just looking for a cheap hostel, right? Not to pay
Hmm.
anything. So it's not with the same intention of sharing the culture and etc. So I'm more
Hmm.
selective nowadays. I still, from time to time, receive couch surfers, but normally women.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's a general shift, but I think that these resources are really good too to enable
Hmm.
people to be able to travel. So after that initial trip in Germany, and where were you in Germany actually? Was it
I
Berlin
was in a
or?
very no, I was in a very small town. I went to Berlin for a couple of days initially, and then I moved
Mhm.
to my city, my town, which was called Merseburg. It's a
Yeah.
small village, 60,000 inhabitants only. Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay. So
but
then
it was
after that,
sorry, yeah, it was near Leipzig, in
Mm.
eastern Germany.
And after that internship, did you go back to Brazil?
Yes, I went back to Brazil to finish my studies, and since then I was like crazy about finding a way to go abroad again because the experience was only 6 months long, and I wanted something to last longer. So I kept trying to find opportunities to go abroad again. Then eventually I got a scholarship. I applied like for 3 years in a row. In the
Oh
third
wow.
year, I got approved for this scholarship to do my master's abroad. So I studied in Spain and Germany, half half. I had a double degree from these two countries. And then after I finished my studies, I was ready to go back to Brazil again. But I started looking for jobs, and I couldn't find anything there because people started saying I was overqualified, I was
Mm.
asking for too much, and blah, blah, blah. So then I started looking for jobs in Germany. And then I got a job in a German company who sent me to Malta. So this is where I started my expat
Oh.
life in Malta.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
And what was the job that you started at in Malta?
as a business analyst.
And
Yeah.
that was full time in person in Malta?
By the time, yes, it was a full time in person. Then I worked for 4 years in Malta. I went up the career, so I became like a lead business analyst, head of department. Then the company was bought by another company. I didn't like the culture anymore. And then a former contact of mine migrated to Philippines and asked me, "Are you interested? I know one of my clients needs someone with your profile." So I went to the Philippines. Then I lived there for 2 years. Then I came back to Europe. Then I decided to learn Italian. I went to Italy for a couple of months just to learn Italian. Then COVID hit. I came back to Malta. Then I got bored during the COVID time. So I was like, I need a new country. And then 2021, since COVID was still more or less ongoing, I was like, okay, I don't know if this is going to have an end. I got myself a new job in Costa Rica. Then I came back because by the time when I decided to come back from the Philippines, I became independent consultant. I created my own company in Malta. Yeah. So I became an independent consultant and then I started looking for contracts. And then I got this contract in Costa Rica. But I went there and by that time, during COVID time, they wanted me to be in the office as if I was an employee. And it was super difficult to meet people because it was during COVID. No one was meeting anybody. There was a curfew at 8 p.m. every night. So basically, I didn't like it at all. And then I quit. I canceled the contract in 3 months, pretty much. I stayed actually total 6 months because, of course, I had to find a replacement and etc. And then in the end, I left Costa Rica and I came back to Europe. And basically, I started jumping from contract to contract, but I had one contract that was remote by the time. So when I came back to Malta, I had already a remote contract in the Philippines. And then I found a new remote contract with Germany. So it kept me going for a while. Then when those finished, I got another contract with an Italian company. And that was more or less based in Malta, but traveling around Europe mostly and working remotely.
And can you dive into how you made that pivot from being employed to having your own consultancy? Like what made you take that leap and how do you find your next contract?
Okay. So the shift happened because, in the Philippines, they work many, many hours, right? So
Yes.
it was like 48 hours a week and it was really intense. And I decided that it was not worth it for me anymore, Before I had a similar experience in Malta, I was working long hours and then I started having physical symptoms of stress. And this is when I quit and went to the Philippines. But then there, it was also pretty much the
Yeah,
same.
there's a lot of others. Yeah.
Because it was very intense. And I was living in Manila, Makati. And
Mm.
basically, it's like a big city and traffic jam and stress. And at some point, I was like, okay, this is not what I really want for my life. I want to have more freedom. I want to have more contact with the nature. And Philippines is amazing. It's beautiful. And I loved to go to the islands. But by that time, because the company required me to be in the office, I was not able to get to know any of that. And with one day free a week, pretty much, you cannot do much, right?
Yeah.
So in this point is when I decided that I think I want something else for my life. And I was super scared because I was not very sure how I was going to make it happen, right? So remotely, I started talking already to an accountant in Malta that was recommended by a friend. And I opened a company. I had the company started before I moved and before I started getting clients, but I was very scared for the first couple of months. So what
Yeah.
I did by the time, I created a plan or presentation for my employer. And I suggested to them, if you want, I can continue as a consultant. And this is what happened. So my first client was actually my former employer. So I created a plan and I hired people to put in certain positions in the company so I could continue mentoring them from distance. But the setup was there. And since then, I realized this kind of, this way of working worked well for me. So sometimes I go to the places, I set up the departments, even in Costa Rica happened something like that, but I didn't want to continue with them remotely afterwards. But I go to the places, I set up at the office, I hire the people, I train the people, and then the rest I can mentor, I can continue from distance. Because something I really enjoy doing also is teaching, mentoring people, seeing them grow. And this is the part I like the most about my job of being a consultant. So the setup, creating creating structure, creating procedures, policies, SOPs is not really my passion. It's something necessary to create the structure they need to run the business, right? But then once I have the people in the places executing the daily job, the routine job, the operations, and I can mentor them from distance, for me, this is the perfect setup.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that you were able to identify that within your career and ask for that type of
Yes.
structure moving forward. And that's a lot of courage in itself to be able to go off on your own. And, it's a stable industry, but also in relatively unstable format compared to employment. So I think
Yes.
that knowing what it is that you wanted for the vision of your life, I think that that was a key important step in being able to structure this new type of scenario for yourself, which is
Yeah,
amazing.
that's
So
true.
by being able to do more of the contract work, then you kind of shifted into this more digital nomad lifestyle, right?
Exactly, exactly. And this is what enabled me to spend a few months in Italy before COVID hit. So I
Mm,
learned Italian, which was a long dream of mine.
yeah.
uh, I was going to stay longer actually, but then I came back to Malta when the things started getting a bit weird, because Malta at least is a place I know already. And I have some
Mm.
permanent friends here. That's why nowadays I use Malta as my home base. And from here, I travel to different places and stay 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and come back to Malta.
I love that you also highlight another important thing too, is that travel can look differently depending on what you personally feel good with.
Yeah,
And, some people don't have a base, other people do. And I think it's totally like either one.
totally okay. Exactly.
Depends on you. And honestly, like the base is nice too. As you mentioned, you have a place that you can go back to with some connections that are there, and a place that you can store your things too. So that's also nice.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and what was the difference like between, I guess, what were the main challenges then going from more expat into nomading, and kind of what's the happy medium for you in
Yeah,
terms of travel speed? Hmm.
my happy medium is actually where I am now,
Mm.
being a nomad, but with a base. It's exactly what you
Mm.
mentioned. I think the key is to know yourself, right? Your own needs and what makes you feel comfortable. So in my case, I have a deep need for security. I love traveling. I love going to places, but normally I go with a plan. I'm not the kind of person that goes complete. What happened like in Malaysia was very spontaneous, is rare.
It was
These
just to
are
meet me.
Yes, exactly. Like these are actually the best trips. But
Hmm.
normally, even my last minute trips, I kind of plan, because in the plane, I'm in the plane. I'm already booking the hotel because I
Yeah.
want to have the safety of having a place to sleep, right? So I was
Hmm.
always a bit security driven. I'm a Virgo. I don't know if you believe in horoscopes,
Yeah,
but
yes, I do. Virgo
yes.
moon, I do.
Yeah, so I like to have some sense of safety and security, right? So it stressed me out a lot when I started nomading without having a home base, without having a place to call my base, right? And
Hmm.
then just going from one place to another, when I went to Costa Rica, I kind of got rid of everything. And my goal was to stay in Costa Rica for long. It didn't work
Hmm.
out. After I quit my job, I still stayed in the country for a couple of months, actually, because I love the country. Costa Rica is beautiful,
Hmm.
but it was not feeling like home anymore. And I was feeling very insecure about my next contracts as well. And
Hmm.
even to maintain my contract that I had by the time was hard because of the time zone difference, right? So it was really difficult, because from Philippines to Costa Rica, it was like 13 hours difference.
Yes.
And then that's the reason why I had to move back to Europe to be at least like in a reasonable time zone, 7 hours, 6 hours difference. So it was more manageable. But
Hmm.
then I thought, okay, where should I go now? And this is when I thought of Malta, because I had friends here, permanent friends that live here since many years.
Hmm.
And this is the place where I consider closer to home, so to say. So it was a natural move for me. And then I decided to put my roots here. Yeah. So now I have a tiny home here, and I
Hmm.
use this tiny home as leverage for traveling to the other places, because I do home swaps. And then when I go to places, I exchange the accommodation.
Yeah, I want to dig into that a little bit as well. Like what platforms do you use, and what's your strategy regarding regarding the home swapping?
Okay, so for home swapping, I use home exchange mostly, is the main one, the one that got me into this world and changed my life completely too. It's homeexchange.com. And basically, they have houses all around the world, houses, apartments, kitchenettes, everything, like all the sizes, all locations. And there are two ways of exchanging. So you either exchange one to one simultaneously. So let's say I want to go to your home, you want to come to my home, and we do this simultaneously. It doesn't matter the size of the house. If we agree, we can exchange. Or if you say like, okay, my house is too big, I don't want to exchange one to one, or maybe you want to go to a different location, you don't want to come to my home, you can pay with guest points. And then these points, the person that is getting paid can use those points to book another place as if it was an Airbnb, but without money involved. It's only points. And the way to get points is hosting people in your home.
And is it they have full access to your whole house without you, or is it a combination of them also staying with you in like a room?
Up to you. So you can do
Okay.
that with a room as well, similar to the couchsurfing setup, right? So if you have just a room or an area in your house that you want to kind of let someone there while you are in the house, you have to specify that. They call this hospitality exchange. Obviously, you get like less points because it's not the full house. Most of the exchanges I have done, actually all the exchanges I have done so far, they are full houses.
And where have you been so far through this type of change?
Costa Rica itself, so I traveled
Oh,
there, even in my home country in Brazil, because by the time I had some issues where my family had some health issues, and then I had to have a separate place to have my calls at 5 a.m.
yeah. Yeah.
So I stayed also in Brazil with a home exchange. I have already home exchanges booked for this year for Bulgaria for the Nomad Festival,
Oh, wow.
Tarifa in Spain, and Vancouver in Canada.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how long do you stay? Is it just dependent on what the availability is for that particular place? And what are the, like, you have to have a home to exchange in order to be able to be in the
You
system?
don't need to own the home, but you need to have a
Mm,
base, right? So it could
mm,
be even a rented place as long as your landlord agrees to that. So you can use your rented place and exchange with someone if it's not considered sublet, because it depends, of course, on the countries and the laws. I don't
mm,
know how they consider that. In some countries, might be considered illegal, but if your landlord is okay with that, I know plenty of people that they use their rented homes to do home exchange. And the how long it lasts, it also depends on the people. From my experience here in Malta, because it's like a kind of a holiday destination for European
mm.
families, so many people come here for maximum a week, 3 days to 7 days mostly. Yeah. But when I travel, because I'm a nomad, I like to stay longer. And basically, I want to stay at least 1 month to get acquainted to the place and not to have to rush from one place to another all the time. I'm trying to stay minimum 1 month, but normally more. And it's a bit harder to get because, of course, many people, they just have vacation once a year and they just travel for a week, something like
Yeah.
that. So my strategy for that is to find the people who have second homes. So in
Oh,
home exchange, you have like a filter. So you can find like holiday homes, and usually people don't spend much time there. So it's easier to get accepted for a longer period of time there. But now there is a new platform that I just joined. It's called Nomad. The same concept, but it's just for
mm.
digital nomads. It's exactly,
Oh,
yeah, it's a home exchange platform for digital nomads. So all the places are guaranteed to have Wi-Fi and a desk for you to work because it's from nomads to nomads. And
oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Nomad. Okay.
yes, it's a new one. They still don't have as many options as home exchange, of course, but it's easier to get for longer periods of time. But last year, I forgot to mention, I actually stayed in France quite a while, also in different cities for a month in different places. So I was like 1 month in Paris, 1 month in Provence, and in different regions. And for those places, I normally exchanged with second homes or retired people because they have also
Oh,
flexibility to travel. So this lady I exchanged with in Marseille in France, she was by the time going to the United States. So she used the points. I paid her for 1 month and then she used those points to book her trip.
oh, nice. Yeah,
Mhm.
I love that that works out. So, do you mainly plan your travels around being able to home swap?
No, actually the opposite. Normally what I'm doing, because to be honest, the offer is it's quite wide in this website. So I normally plan my trip anyways, and then I see if I can find a home swap in that period
Mm,
of time. Yeah. If I cannot, then I book an Airbnb or a combination of maybe a weekend home swap and then something else. But honestly, last few times I didn't need to. It's actually easier to get a home swap when you have exact dates, because then people can give you a definitive answer.
that
Hmm.
makes sense. There's actually another home swap. I don't know if you have looked into it. It's called Kindred, and I think
No,
maybe they're
no,
more
no.
in the US, but similar structure of getting the points if you're hosting versus doing a exact swap. So could be
Yeah.
another option. I love that there's more and more of these types of options because it also
Yes.
enables the nomads that have a base, or even just people who have vacations and don't know how to be able to afford the
Exactly.
lodging in a place that they want to visit. I think this is really empowering for as an option for people. So
Exactly.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and actually, there's another one called People Like Us. It's similar to
Mm.
Home Exchange as well, and it has a very nice community. I joined the community on Facebook just to check the vibe before I joined the website, but it looks quite good. And in the Home Exchange, I received lots of single moms as well with their kids, which was really interesting because it's a way to save. Like if you have to travel and stay with family, sometimes it's very,
Mm.
very expensive, right? To go to a
Yeah.
hotel, especially if you have kids. So this is a way also to save on accommodation and stay under the same roof, everybody.
Yeah, no, that's a really great option for families, especially.
Hmm.
I know that I've had like nomad moms on the guests as guests as well, so I think that
Hmm.
that's a great option for more than one person too.
Hmm.
Amazing. So then, now that you are based in Malta, I know that you are hosting a retreat coming up, and it sounds like it's kind of a
Yes.
combination of your corporate experience, but also you founded Nomad Lighthouse, and that's really focused on purpose and connection. So I'd love to find out more about how you founded Nomad Lighthouse, what your mission is, and what this retreat is that you'll be hosting.
Okay. Nomad Lighthouse is basically a community that was, naturally converged to become something bigger, you know. I started as a group of friends. It was a Facebook group of digital nomads and remote workers or other friends that wanted to live this lifestyle. And they were asking me to share tips about like how to save on traveling, how to go to different destinations on your own, because many people, even to become an expat, you need some courage, right? Like to go to a new country.
Mhm.
Like when I moved to the Philippines, I haven't been there ever before. So it was quite a move just to start from scratch. And people kept asking me, how do you make friends when you travel? How do you go to places and start getting in touch with the locals? And I started sharing some tips with some friends, and they said, oh, why don't you share this with more people? And then I created this Facebook group. Now we have like 260 people, more or less. And I have also a separate group for women who travel over 30s, because my mom and some of her friends, and even some of my friends my age, they want to travel solo, but they are scared. Many of them, they just want a companion to travel together. So the idea behind this community was just to literally help more people together that have the same kind of ideas, right? That want more freedom, that want to be able to travel on their own and make the best of life and live a different lifestyle that is making more sense for them in this moment of life. So I created this community without any kind of expectations, just to gather friends. And sometimes we started traveling together as well. And then when I was in this trip in Malaysia, one day, literally in Penang, I told you when we met, I woke up and all the ideas converged in my mind. Like, okay, what if I join all the passions I have, all the things I like to do into one thing? And this is when the retreat idea came up. So I got in touch with the concept of Ikigai, I think maybe 2 years ago. Are you familiar with the concept of Ikigai from
I've
Japanese
read the
culture?
book. Yeah, I've read the book and I have dived into it, but I'd love an explanation for the
All right,
listeners.
all right. Okay, so Ikigai basically doesn't translate exactly into English because it's a Japanese word that they don't even think about it too much. It's part of their culture. But roughly, we could say it's something that gives you the wish to wake up in the morning, that gives you a desire to live, a reason, a purpose to live, right? It could be, but the thing is, this was popularized in the Western world mostly as if it was a framework to find your vocation, your profession, or something that you are going to work with. There is a famous Venn diagram that everybody uses that they say is the combination between what you love, what the world needs, what you can make money with, and what you are good at. But this is only part of it, because Ikigai is not only related to profession, only related to making money at all. So sources of Ikigai can be anything in your life, small routines, small rituals that you do and make you feel good and make you feel present in that moment and wishing for a bright future. So wanting to wake up next morning and have that cup of coffee in your favorite cafe, for instance, or maybe playing with your niece or nephew because it brings you joy, or maybe being with a loved one, or looking forward to a trip that you're going to make next month. So all these things that make you wish to wake up in the morning and have a joyful life. And this concept really shook me a lot, and especially when I started diving deeper into it, because you can find so many different sources of Ikigai in your daily life, and you can include these rituals in your routine to make a more resilient lifestyle. So even when you have a really bad job, for instance, because not all of us can afford quitting the job and starting a new career out of nowhere, right? You have commitments, you have to pay bills. And so even if you have a terrible job that you hate every morning, but you have your own rituals that you do and the things that light you up, you keep going because you have this wish to keep going, right? And that's the reason why I decided to join this retreat. Like the concept of Ikigai, I'm getting now certified as an Ikigai coach. And my skills as a business analyst and business consultant for so many years. So the idea of this retreat is to start, it has a sequence, right? So every morning we have yoga classes, we have meditation, all targeted to reconnecting with your purpose. So this is mostly for people who are feeling a bit lost or moving careers, coming from corporate world and moving into working with their passion, or people who know already their passion, but they don't know exactly how to start a business. So these two target groups, either someone that is kind of figuring out how to work with their passion and what are their passions because they forgot, or the people who have passion, but they don't know exactly how to start and they need cooperations and they need other people to start their business, right? And beginning of the week, then every morning we have meditations that help you connecting with your purpose. Then we have in the morning sessions, workshops. So we start the week with workshops to reconnect with yourself and with your purpose and with your loved activities when you were a child, with your inner child. So rescuing those things that you used to love when you were younger, because life causes this, right? We get censored, we get molded by society, we start doing things we have to do and we forget the things we love to do. It's like when you asked me about what I used to love when I was a child, and
Yes.
I was so artistic, but I went to the other extreme, the logical side, because it was my profession. I graduated as a computer scientist, actually, and then I studied software engineering and business. So basically, I went to the extreme opposite and blocked my inner child. So lately, I'm in this process of reconnecting with my inner child, and I decided to share this with other people as well. And the first part, we reconnect with the inner child, we get in touch with their purpose. Then we have some workshops focused on Ikigai to identify all the different sources of joy or of Ikigai in your life, in relationships, in rituals, in hobbies, and in your profession. Why not, right? And then we create a map. And then after that, we create a plan. So it can be a business plan in case the person wants to create a company out of that, or they want to start a business based on their passions, or for the people who just want to implement new activities, new hobbies in their life, we create a plan how they can achieve that in a feasible way. And basically that's the program for 1 week workshop. And included also we have a full day trip around Gozo, of course, because you cannot come to Gozo and not see the beautiful island. So we have also a day tour with the group at the end of the retreat.
That sounds amazing and so needed. And I love that it's not just I love a good, woo retreat, but I love that, you go from like the inner child piece and the yoga and more of those meditative reflective practices, but also you come down to it and you're like, okay, what's the actual plan? Like what
Yes.
am I going to take out of this this experience so that I can change my life, because that's the reason why people want to go to retreats is,
Yeah,
yes, the rest, the relaxation, the different perspective. But I think we start to go into a bit of a pattern of continually traveling, continuing, to escape, because we don't have that last piece of how do I apply what I learned from this experience into my life in a way that's actionable and simple, with guidance from someone that can help me figure out what lights me up and create this vision for my life that I need
exactly.
to turn and, to make. So I love that that's the offer that you have, because I think it's pretty unique to be able to do these reflective practices, but then like have the actionable plan that people can take away.
Exactly. Actually, this woo part I also like, but I use in this retreat as a more practical thing. It's more for mindfulness. Yeah, it's as a mindfulness tool to get people present and able to reconnect with themselves and with their inner child. And it's not a mystical retreat at all. It's more practical, as you said, because I want to target people that, like me, were completely on the logical side, but need to get in touch with their emotional side and with their passions again, right? Because at some point we climb the corporate career and then we are there. So what? I'm not fulfilled. I'm not feeling my life is meaningful.
Ooh.
Course, 1 week, you're not going to find your purpose in life in 1 week, right? But
Mm-hmm.
of course, you are going to map some sources of joy or a plan to make your life more fulfilled and more meaningful. So what I'm adding also is a 1 hour consultation. Could be either 1 hour of Ikigai coaching, or for the person who prefers to create a business coaching, so they can have a one-to-one with me later on after, when they figure out what exactly they want to do for the business, so I can help them out.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I think the one-on-one is also really important to be able to have that
Hmm.
guidance.
Hmm.
And who specifically are you aiming for attending this retreat? Is it women? Is it like, is there a specific demographic?
It's not only women. I'm focusing on anybody that is trying to have a more meaningful life, live a more meaningful life. So mostly the people that I have already subscribed to the retreat, they are coming from corporate careers. They had some graduation in different area. They worked their whole lives and some area that is not completely fulfilling. And now they want to start working more on their purpose. Even the collaborations I have within the retreat, they are also of professionals that are migrating careers. So we are kind of more or less aligned. But I have also some interest from artists or people who actually know their passion, but they struggle to create a concrete plan. And I think it can be a really, really interesting combination, because the skills are very complementary. So in the afternoons, we have some free time for the people who need to work remotely, or if they want to skill share with the others, they can offer discussions. So I'm going to facilitate some discussions in the afternoons, networking, and maybe even find their business partners for their endeavors. Mhm.
And how many people are going to be on this retreat?
Maximum 10 people.
Oh, okay, so it'll be a
For
nice
this
intimate
first one,
group.
yes, it's an intimate group. And the idea is also to include all the kinds of personalities, introverts, extroverts. So we're going to have some sessions before the retreat happens. We are going to have some online session. So everybody gets to know everybody before we go into the retreat. And afterwards, we have also some catch-up calls.
Yeah, I think that that's really important, and because the magic in these types of retreat is not just the location or the programs themselves, but it's actually the individual people that come, that you can learn from each other and learn from each other's stories and perspectives. So I think that that's
Yes.
also really cool, that it's a small intimate group, where you'll be able to foster these connections
Hmm.
before, after, and especially during the retreat.
Hmm.
Amazing. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear all about it. I'm hoping to be in Malta around the same time. We'll see. Cross my
Yes,
fingers it
yes,
all works
yes.
out.
Crossing my
Because
fingers.
I know, I'm like, me too, girl. I'm putting that out into the universe. Being in Malta, hopefully being able to see the people on this retreat as well.
That would be
But
amazing to have you.
I know, right? And that'll be like our third country together. That'll be so fun.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for sharing your story and sharing what you are currently up to right now. It's always great to be able to dive into someone's background too, because like, I meet so many people, but I'm like, I love this opportunity to be able to like really get to know someone and like what brought them to like this point in life right now. So that's really cool
Thank
to
you.
hear that and hear your story. So I really appreciate that. I do want to close off with some questions that I ask all of my
Mhm.
guests in regards to transformation, connection, and play. So, along the same themes that we've been talking about. So, in terms of thinking back to your younger self compared to now, was there a question or advice that you heard or processed that really made a huge difference for you? Once you answered that question or once you heard that, like it like turned everything around. Was there anything like that that you can share with us?
Actually, not when I was a child, but I think I was already in university and I heard from a professor. He had a daughter that wanted to be a dancer, and he told her, do whatever you want after you have your profession and your stability, so you never depend on anyone else. And when I heard that, I resonated so much because my whole life I was driven by the wish for stability and independence, right? And it's true that sometimes in life we need to do certain things that we don't want to do. We cannot just come out of our childhood and decide to be, I don't know, whatever we want without thinking about our responsibilities on society. That would be a dream, of course. I think the ideal world would be like that, where everybody can be whatever they want. But sometimes we need to do certain things that we don't want so much, or they are not our genuine passions, because we need to fulfill certain roles within society. But in certain moments, when you have the basic to supply your basic needs, I believe a lot in the Maslow pyramid, right? You can choose to be whoever you want to be, and it's never too late to be that person, right? I was by that time one of the oldest students in the class, in the master's class. But when I heard that, I resonated a lot because I saw myself also in the same path. I studied something that granted me a good career, which made me also the consultant I am nowadays, the person I am nowadays. So I don't regret any decisions I have done, even in my career, because without those decisions, I wouldn't be the person I am nowadays. But at certain point, when you reach the point of minimum basic stability, you can decide to be whoever you want. But to have freedom, complete freedom and independence, you need to be independent financially as well. You need to be independent by all the means, right? And I think it's about accepting yourself and your own needs. I accepted that I have this need for security, so I have to supply my basic needs first, and then I can do whatever I want for self-realization and pursue my passions, and do this with the comfort of knowing I have a place to go back to.
Yeah, I think that that's really important is that we are all on very individualized journeys. And while it's easy sometimes to compare yourself to others and be like, oh, why can't I just take the leap right now? And like,
Mhm.
you have to really look inward and figure out like what's going to work for you. And if the stability route and then the self actualization route is what's going to make you feel more stable, whole, complete, and hit
Exactly.
upon your values, and that's the route that you take, and you can't really map your needs onto anyone else's path because it's going to be actually a distraction for you,
Exactly.
because you're not living true to how your path is supposed to unroll.
Exactly.
So I
Exactly.
think that that's a really key point of advice of, yes, like we all want those things, but like how is it going to happen for you in your specific
For you,
situation?
exactly.
Mhm.
Because some people manage to do that. Don't get me wrong. Like some people manage, and their whole lives they manage to work with their passion, or they manage to make the leap, to take the leap at once. They just jump in, and it works for them. I'm not saying everybody has the same path, right? But you need to respect your own needs. So if you have the need for adventure and you have a bigger risk tolerance, go for it. Go for it. But when I tried to go for it the first time, I went against my own nature, right? And then I felt super insecure. I started getting super stressed. So I found a compromise, a middle term that basically works for me, for my situation.
Yeah, and bridge positions, like you can do both. I think that that's
Yes,
the thing, is like you can
yes.
have the stability and you can have the thing that lights you up, and the balance of that is really up to you, and it also
Hmm.
depends on your specific timing. So that's amazing advice. I want to ask you, what has been the best method that you have utilized in making the meaningful connections that you have made while traveling, and what would you suggest to other people that are also
Hmm.
looking for those same meaningful connections?
Well, as an expat, it was a bit different. So there is an organization also all around the world called Internations. I don't know. Yeah, you know Internations. We went to Internations in Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah.
So I used to go to Internations meetups because it's a very good way when you are going to stay longer in a place to meet locals that also want to meet foreigners, right? And help them out and navigate the new culture. I find this works very well for me. Another thing, for instance, is couch surfing meetups. I'm an ambivert, so I tend to be more on the introverted side most of the time. So for me, it's really important to go to these meetups, also to make some connections that I continue seeing over and over again. And yeah, couch surfing, to meet also locals who hold meetups in their places, and professional meetups, especially for people who are a bit more introverted. I think is really interesting because you don't need to be the one talking to everybody, and you just need to be interested in that subject and find a professional meetup in the area of something that interests you, and you are naturally being going to be connected with people that like the same things.
Yeah, I think that those are all great tips, ones that I've used as well. And yeah, Internations is a great one too.
Hmm.
We went to the dancing disco,
Yeah.
which was an interesting event. But there's a lot of different types of events that fall under Internations, and it's cool that it's all people that are expats or some form of traveler, visitor,
Yes,
or
yes,
even
yes.
local, which is
Exactly.
nice. So many
Exactly.
links I'm going to share from just this conversation. I love it. And what would be one tip that you would give women who are considering solo traveling for the first time? They have that itch, but they're a little hesitant to go. What would you let them know?
Just go. Just go. Of course, if someone is like me, make a plan, because then you go with the security that you have a plan B and plan C if you don't feel secure to go and be in an unexpected situation, right? So my suggestion for people starting to travel solo, go to a safe place, go to a place where you can get in touch with some help if you need to, and also get in touch with other women in that area. There are many amazing networks for women available out there. So for instance, sisters helping sisters, yeah. So there is
Host a sister.
sisters, yeah. So basically it's amazing even to meet up, you don't need to stay in anybody's house if you don't feel comfortable with, if you want your privacy, but you can have someone to have a coffee and maybe hear some nice local stories and recommendations of places to go, and you don't feel completely alone in the place. So traveling solo doesn't mean that you're going to be solo for the duration of your trip, right? You
Yes.
eventually you're going to meet people, but of course you need to take some steps, yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's a really key thing. People think, oh, I'm going to be by myself the whole time that I'm solo. I'm like, honestly, there's no easier time to make new friendships, meaningful friendships, than when you're solo traveling, because you're less intimidating to people. When you're by yourself, they're like, oh, okay, I can approach that person. So you have
Exactly.
conversations with more people than you would if you were with other people, friends or a partner, for example. And then you also get to meet people that align to you, which is
Yes.
nice because you can show up as the person that you want to be without the maybe past information, like say, like from your hometown or from
Yes.
older friends who know you. Like if there's a version of you that's been wanting to be seen, you can be that person when you are meeting new
Exactly.
people.
Being more
I was just,
genuine.
yeah, exactly. And that version of you that you want to live into. One of the things that I've had asked my community recently was, what are the ways ways that you've met your best friends. And when I was answering that, I realized, okay, all of my older best friends were because of work or because of school
Hmm.
or location, maybe neighbors. And nowadays, all of my friends, all my great friends that I've met have been through traveling and have had the very similar activities or interests as me. And that's really the shift in adulthood, is that you go from these more convenient, like structural places that foster these friendships just based off of the location or
Yeah,
the frequency of contact, and you shift into being more intentional in the types of friendships and in the way that you show up in friendships as well as you're an adult.
exactly. Another way also that it's quite easy, maybe book some guided tours, especially like
Yes.
Airbnb experiences or something like that. You always are going to meet other people in the same trip, and then maybe you hang out afterwards. This always happens when I travel solo.
Yeah, and the guides themselves. The guides are
Yes,
it's
yes,
people are
yes,
always curious. They're like, "How do I make friends if I don't speak the language?" Well, the tour guides want to meet people that are from abroad, because
yes,
that's a major reason why they're doing the type of work that they're doing, because there's that, like, as you were doing, right? You were part of a group where you're hosting people from abroad and like having this exchange. Like, you get into these types of jobs and activities because
yes,
you generally want to be exposed to other people, and so you probably have a level of maybe English, if that's the language that you speak, where you can communicate with travelers. And so those are going to be like your first points of contact if you're wanting to make local friends as well, is
exactly.
go to these hosted experiences, Airbnb experiences, or as you mentioned, couch surfing, or all these other forums where locals are there, and those are the ones who want to meet people.
Exactly. I have some tour guide from Vietnam that is friends with me and another friend on Facebook since our trip like 7 years ago, and
Hmm.
we get updates about how is the family going. It was a
Yeah.
really beautiful experience. So after the tour, it was my birthday. So the guide and his family threw a surprise birthday party with my friend in a karaoke because I love singing as well.
Yeah.
So it was so much fun. It was a beautiful moment, and we kept in touch. So it's true, you can make many meaningful local friendships also through the tour guides, and because these people they want contact with foreigners, yeah, with people from different
Exactly.
cultures. And besides
Yeah.
that, another thing is like normal sports clubs, whatever sports you
Mhm.
like to do, going on activities, hiking. I love hiking. So if you go to a place, join some Facebook groups in advance for hiking, and then you join the activities, and you eventually meet many local people.
Yeah, exactly. The forums are so great for being able to connect on activity-based things, on things that light you up. So for you, it's kinesthetic, things that move your body. So
Yes.
hiking, dancing, very much in line. Thank you so much. One more question is, on a daily basis, how have you incorporated play into your life?
Well, on a daily basis, that's a very good question. I don't think I incorporate it on a daily basis. I'm reserving mostly my weekends for the play part. That's something I need to think about, and I should really try to incorporate more on my journey. Of course, I do like my sports, but I wouldn't say even it's more like my own routine, right? Like the
Mhm.
sports I do during the week. But on the weekend is when I let my creativity go, and I do something creative, or workshops for painting, or I go on a hike, or I meet my friends for some fun activity. I love karaoke, so I find karaoke is everywhere I go.
Yes, it
And
is.
yes, and I do something like that, but it's something I'm still, as I told you, like I'm in the process of reconnecting with my inner child and the things I used to do when younger. I'm doing myself this journey, right, of reconnecting with my Ikigai sources, especially on the childhood activities. That's a very good point.
Yeah, I'm actually hosting a workshop actually this week on how to incorporate play into your entrepreneurship journey. So I will share some tips on that.
Oh, please.
Yeah, because I think it's important as we are creating businesses as well that the process remains enjoyable, because there's a
Yes,
lot of work that's involved in just even before you even launch, before you even tell someone that it's a thing. There's a lot of mindset work that needs to happen. There's a lot of just working and creating the thing itself.
definitely.
And the longer that you do it without getting back in touch with the enjoyment of the process, it's much easier for you to burn out from something that should have brought you joy and
That's true.
lightness in
That's true.
creating
Because
it.
we work many, many long hours when we are working on our own projects. Yeah. Now I
Yeah.
work way more on my passion project than on my money making projects.
Yeah, and you're doing both and then also trying to be healthy and trying to have a balance in life. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, if we're reserving the play moments for once a week or once a month or just for the 2 weeks that we're on vacation each year, then yeah, we're going to burn out. And then
Yeah.
we're going to be left wondering like, oh, maybe this wasn't the right business, but really maybe it was the approach. If we made the whole
Hmm.
process enjoyable, then the end result will naturally get there and be more enjoyable. But we might not even get to the end result if we burn out ahead of time. So that's the thing that I'm kind of interested in now is like, how do we incorporate some of these moments of lightness? It could be small, but like, how do you infuse that into the actual work that we do, whether that's your own business or whether that's working in corporate? But
Yeah.
I think burnout is such a big subject these days. And like, what are
That's
the ways
important
that
for
we can?
everybody. Exactly. That's
Mm-hmm.
important for everybody. I think the work you are doing is fantastic because
Yeah.
in whatever kind of job that we dedicate ourselves to like fully, we end up getting too involved depending on the type of personality, of course. But I'm the type of person that gets too involved, and I know you are also like that.
Yeah.
And then it's very easy to lose sight of the other aspects of the playfulness. And I think I'm pretty sure I met you because I needed to meet you in that moment in my life because I'm in the process of connecting with my playful side again.
Mhm.
My serious side took charge for long enough, and now I think I need to reconnect a little bit more with my playful side as well.
Yeah, no, I love I still love our meeting story because it was really like if you were noticing the signs from the universe, like that the fact that we both ended up in Kuala Lumpur that weekend is just
It was so random.
it's so random. Like it couldn't have been any other way because I had booked my flight an hour before that flight. I wasn't gonna go to Kuala Lumpur. And it was literally I was on the plane and I was like, you know what? I might as well accept the fact that I'm in Kuala Lumpur. Let me send out a message to this group just to see if anyone's gonna be there. And then when I turned my phone back on when we landed, you were the first response. And I was like, okay, we're
Yeah,
doing
it
this.
was
This is awesome.
incredible. For me, it's like I booked Penang because I always wanted to go to Penang, and I booked for almost a week. And then my flight back was from Kuala Lumpur because it was the cheapest to go back to Bali. So I thought, okay, I spent 2 days in Kuala Lumpur because I don't like big cities in general. But
Mm.
then I just do the bridge, And I joined that group. I don't know even why, because as you know, I was living in a very isolated part of Bali. I was in my
Yeah.
introverted phase. Didn't want to meet so many digital nomads last year. And then at the end of my trip, I was like, you know what? I would join this group to see what's happening. And then I joined exactly in that weekend. It was
Yeah,
so fantastic.
you gotta love the universe for the way it brings things together. Even when you're like, oh, what is like why is this happening to me? Like why for me? Like why can't I get this visa to Vietnam? Right? Like I like had everything
Exactly.
booked. And I was like, why? And it's like, okay, like you had a different plan. And in a lot of cases in life, you don't see the immediate impacts of the universe working in your favor in a way that you didn't expect. But in this case, it was like a fun little like, oh, okay. And then because of you, I connected with Aline and then we hosted a
Exactly. We
play
have so
meetup
many things in
in
common. Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So this I feel like is just it's been nice and again another sign from the universe and also for people that are listening out there to just twist a little bit in the process. And if things aren't
Yes,
necessarily
yes,
going your way
yes.
right now, remember that things are always going your way. You just don't know how yet. And that's
Exactly.
the the closing
We
piece.
just need to trust a little bit more. This is a work in progress for me, but nowadays I trust way more the universe than I used to. And
Yeah.
as I said, like whenever I open up to be a bit more spontaneous is when magic happens. Yeah.
And I love that. So tell us, how can we reach out to you, keep in contact, find out more about the retreat and the work that you're doing and the groups that you're hosting?
All right. So check Nomad Lighthouse in Instagram or www.nomadlighthouse.com, the website for the retreat. I have a lot of information there. And I can leave also my personal Instagram, Adri in Love with the Road. So there you can follow my travels and my adventures and where I am in the moment.
Perfect. And as always, I will link that all in the show notes. Thank you so much for being on
Thank
today.
you. Thank you very much for this work you are doing. Also, I really
Thank you.
admire your podcasts because they inspire so many people and it's so good to hear so many different stories stories of women like us that are just carving their stories through traveling. It's amazing.
Yeah, I really want to show women what's possible. And
Yeah.
it could be, they could pull from all these different stories and create something that's possible uniquely for them. But I think it's so important to hear what other people have done, and know that, like, if your circumstance is completely different right now, you can make a change, and it's never too late to do so. Thank you for sharing your own story. And thank
Thank
you
you.
all, listeners, navigators, for tuning into today's episode. I hope Adriana's story resonated with you and inspires you to transform your life through travel. See you all in the next adventure. As we wrap up another beautiful and insightful episode, I want to leave you with an opportunity to deepen your journey of connection. So head over to travelnotsescape.com/friends to explore the Passport to Connection program. This is a unique one-day live virtual workshop and monthly mastermind that's designed to empower you on your journey of connection. And this goes from connecting back into yourself, reigniting your spirit of play, understanding what you value for yourself and in friendships, where to find these people, especially while you're traveling, and then once you actually meet them, how to turn those connections into friendships, handle rejection, handle filtering for like-minded individuals, and then once you're friends, how to actually maintain these connections, especially when time and distance are a factor. So this is a one-day live virtual workshop because I wanted to make sure you got all of this knowledge right away so that you can start connecting with people. So if you're going on a trip or if you're moving soon, I wanted you to have all this information, all of these actionable insights right at your fingertips. And you will immediately be joined by a small group of like-minded individuals that are going on the same journey. So you are also building community right along with getting all the information that you need. So go ahead and head to travelnotsescape.com/friends. I have more information on there. I am creating a very intimate group for this workshop, so make sure to sign up soon so you can secure your spots. And I am so excited to welcome you all into the program. Until next time, keep exploring, connecting, and playing, and safe travels, navigators.